It's time again for the Candlepin Challenge, produced by CN8 Sports in conjunction with the International Candlepin Bowling Association. Hi again, everybody, and welcome back inside the Woburn Bowlodrome. John Holt with Dan Murphy and Trina Fernandez. And last week we got a new guy at the top in Steve Vadney.
You know, we always say it's tough to win consecutive matches. And Jeremy Seaholm won one last spring, won another one. The third one seems to be the toughest one. Steve's going to go for two today.
We will talk to Steve momentarily, but first, Trina standing by with today's challengers. Trina?
Thank you, John. Well, today's challengers are Dan Johnson and Hawk Halas. And Hawk, not to make you feel old, but about 15 times on the show, is that right?
It's around there, give or take a few.
So what wisdom could you give to our new guy over here, Dan?
Yeah, he'll be all right. He's a good bowler, and you know it's going to be tough, but he throws a good ball.
So you're not too worried about him?
I'm always worried.
And Dan, welcome to the show. I understand you got a little lost getting here today.
Oh yeah, I took the wrong interstate. 293 instead of 93.
Big mistake to make.
Oh, especially when you got to come across from Nashua on 111.
Well, you're from Vermont, but best of luck to you today.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, back over to you, John and Dan.
Trina, thank you. Back with Steve Vadney, the reigning champ. Nice round of applause, too, from some fans here. And you are the Candlepin Hall of Famer. You've been through the wars and the battles. Do the bright lights phase you at this point, or does it just feel like any old other string out there?
Well, it's you know, the first couple of boxes maybe you still get those little butterflies, but after that it's almost like league bowling to me.
Well, it's good to have you back, and good luck today.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll return with the Challengers match right after this on CN8. Welcome back to Woburn. We are ready to roll with our Challengers match. Richard Hawk Halas to go first, taking on Dan Johnson, who joins us from Vermont. Hawk had a memorable run a season ago in the Candlepin Challenge, won 6 straight weeks. Just a pin to start. Gets 6 more.
$7 to start off the match for our challenger, Richard Hawk Halas.
The winner moves on to take on Steve Vadney, who was victorious last week over Jeremy Seaholm, to wrest the championship from Jeremy.
3, 5, and 9. It's tough with that sleeper, the 9-pin in the back. $16 for the first two. Our first look at Dan.
Dan Johnson from Windsor, Vermont. Home lanes, Sunset Lanes in Newport, New Hampshire. This is the head pin a little to the left, takes out 4.
Just missing. First time on the show. You asked Steve Vadney if the lights mean anything. I wonder if they do for Dan being there the first time.
Imagine
Unlucky
they do.
break off the head pin. I'm sure they do.
Just 5, and now that he has that out of his system, here we go.
I always found the first couple boxes you get the butterflies, but after you bowled a few frames, then it's just down to try to bowl your game and not let anything bother you. 7-10, a couple pieces of wood. just missing the 7 pin.
Well done on the 10. So he's just a pin off Hawk Halas, 16-15, 2 frames in. A lot of body language with Hawk. He's into it, no question. Leaves the single pin. And he gets the 4 for $10. One of Hawk's daughters up in the crowd. See the other one come into frame shortly. Either side of the gentleman with the Patriots hat jersey. It's Rodney Harrison.
Seems like a pretty happy guy sitting between those lovely ladies.
Hey, it's a good spot.
You heard the reaction of the crowd. Very nearly converted that half Worcester to a spare, leaving just a 7.
Two straight 10s for Hawk. He's up to 36. Box 3 for Dan. Father of 2 himself.
5 and 9 left. Good spare lead for Dan. Gotta concentrate on getting the 5. First mark of the match goes to Dan Johnson on lane 35. Big 9-pin drop.
Can he make it 2 marks in a row and be a 3rd mark away from $50 in bonus money? Needs to get the 7 to accomplish it. Yes.
2 in a row.
So the newcomer, Dan Johnson, turning up the heat a bit on Hawk Halas. Box 5 for Rich. Got it. His first mark. Spare. Box 5. His fill ball right here.
Just a disappointing 4. Get on the head pin.
Punches out one more. Wants to avoid a bad box here. 5 wouldn't cut it in Hawk's book. Said it's a 6. So Dan Johnson going for 3 in a row and bonus money at $50.
One side.
7-pin drop gives him 51 and a 15-pin advantage through completed 4 frames.
6, the 7, the 10.
He was thinking about that wood on the left, but I think it's too deep for have the ball take out the 7, 6, and 10.
Nice offer, Dan.
After that opening 5 with maybe some jitters, hasn't left a pin up. 2 10s, 2 spares. Now opposite a 6.
Missing to the right of the head pin, 1, 2, 8, and then the 6 and 10.
Pin advantage, 69 to 56 with 4 boxes remaining. Stan Johnson in the lead. All of them for Hawk.
That 9-pin must have been hit 3 different times by the wood and it finally goes down. Watch, once, twice, the 3rd time it finally topples over for the strike. Looking for the
Back
double,
to back.
and he gets it.
Stay tuned for a try at the triple.
And he knows what that's like. He had a piece of that $1,000 last year, along with John Zappi and Jeremy Seaholm.
No reason to hide the emotion.
Watch this.
Yes, 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 yes. Back live to Dan. Second ball coming up. Salvages a 7. Not the response he wanted, though, following the 2 strikes from his opponent.
Got one here.
2, 4, 6, and 7.
Really needs a mark. He's going to go from 13 ahead to considerable deficit. And if Hawk is able to fill this double strike.
Big ball right here to start the 9th.
$50 for a spare or a strike, but a strike would give him a piece of the $1,000 at the end of the year.
Can still get 3 marks in a row, no triple, but one box to go. He's at 107. Trouble with the delivery.
Yeah, dropped that one right on the foul line. Skipped it a little bit. Half wish to right.
Too open to end with for Rich. Gives a little daylight for Dan Johnson.
He's going to need 2 marks.
.116. Back-to-back strikes, giving him a big boost in 7 and 8. Just 32 down at the moment.
32
Dan Johnson.
pins. 32 is a tie, 33 is a win. So he needs a couple marks. Oh boy, great ball in the 1-3 pocket and leaves himself to 5-10. Can be cut over. It's not quite on the same plane as the 10 pin, the 5. So It's moving a little left on the approach. And now he'll need a double strike himself if he's able to pull this match out.
Gets to 94, so down 22.
Our champ waiting in the wings.
Our soon-to-be new color commentator with him, Mike Morgan, will be with us in a couple weeks.
Geez, John, you know, it's a couple weeks away. I mean, just don't let's not rush it. Yeah.
Just temporary, as far as we know, Dan.
Beginning to wonder now. I'll be checking the mail.
So Hawk Halas is going to move on. Get a good shot. Get a good shot of Dan on camera. You know, days are numbered. Hawk Halas takes it by 13. He's on to the championship, and we are on to commercial. We're back to game one after this. All set to get rolling with the championship match. Steve Vadney, the defending champ, to take on Hawk Halas, who just won a challengers match. Guys joking here in the pre-match about their ages. Both actually 56, so a lot of experience in this one. Steve slightly older, born in January, versus Halas with his March birthday. Hey, not bad for an old guy, right? Strike to start. You might be able to hear his cheering section with the "You can put it on the board, yes." The tribute to Ken Hawk Harrelson, coincidentally, the former Red Sox player who now announces Chicago White Sox games, and that's his signature home run call.
Seven on that strike, starts off with 17. That was an interesting choice in that last ball. Most people would not do that. They try for the 2 in the corner. And Steve tried to get the 10 box by hitting the head pin and got just the head pin. One in the 8, 1 in the 9. And he has a mark on the first frame.
Didn't look good for Hawk Halas in the challengers match for the longest time until he had back-to-back strikes in 7 and 8.
Well, you know, we talked about their ages. These guys are seasoned veterans. They're not going to beat themselves. You have to go out and beat them. They keep plugging along, and that's what happened to Hawk here. He was way behind and threw the double strike and came out on top of the match. 7-pin drop on the spare.
We'll play 2 games here in the championship to crown this week's winner.
Two-pin advantage for our challenger.
Seven go for Steve. Leaves the 1-8-10.
Another mark for Steve Vadney on lane 35. He's 2 for 2 over there. See the 1, the 8, and the 10. Piece of wood helped him with both the 8 and the 10. 8-pin drop, that's the good news. The bad news, it's a 9 and a 10. I'd like that wood farther to the right, but he'll take a shot at it.
Cannot get the 10. Same age and nearly identical averages for these two as well.
Whoa! Turnaround's fair play, I guess. Steve got one like that earlier in lane 35, and now Hawk gets one. We call this the backdoor strike, folks. And here it comes, the back door. Head pin, the last one to go down. I've said it so many times, when you get a lucky one like that, they bury the next ball, and it's a double strike. We'll see if it comes true this time. Oh, very nearly.
Spare on strike. 3 marks over the first 4 for Rich Halas. Steve now in the 5th. Takes out 7. That's the 1-3-6 left.
A little too far left, so he'll be open finally on 35. Well, almost. .62 at the halfway point, string number 1 for our champ, Steve Vadney.
Punches out 2 on the right, 3 in the 9, half Worcester right. Six in the 10 remain. 3 boxes in a row open for Steve as he tries to defend his championship this week. Coming up between games 1 and 2, as usual, the strike challenge with a member of the audience bowling for $425 today.
Right now, Hawk Halas is bowling for $50 if he can throw another strike or a spare. 2 marks in a row now.
Joe Dombrowski is our audience member from White River Junction, Vermont. He will go for the 425. So no $50 for Rich, but still in good shape at this point. 7, he'll lose 3 and count there.
So the difference is just 3 pins through 5 boxes.
And now opposite a 9 here in the 6th. Yes! Good time for a strike. Always a good time for a strike. We'll step aside for a break. Back with the conclusion. Final 4 boxes of game 1 after this on CN8 and the Candlepin Challenge. This is it's back.
That's right. The kids will be back. The juniors can try out the local ICBA house, both in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and get into that finals. And maybe you'll be here with the show and give away some savings bonds and some nice jackets to the kids. So, but our taping November 9th. Come on down and watch the Youth Bowl.
All right, back to the big boys right now. 6 boxes into game 1. It is Rich Hawk Halas with a 4-pin advantage and coming off a strike just before the commercial. Steve Vadney first, though, in the 7th. They keep going. 7 total.
1, 5, and 9 pins left.
Got him. His 3rd mark in this game.
Speaking of the youth, if you missed the show 2 weeks ago, Mike Carrington was on. He was a graduate of our youth programs. He was in the mixed doubles event several years ago.
And he did very well here in the main show, winning the Challengers match. Really pressing Jeremy Seaholm. Though Jeremy did defend his championship that week.
2 in a row. Steve Vadney has a knack of taking advantage of those breaks. That first box got a lucky break, converted for the spare, came back with a second one.
We should also mention that later in the season, the female bowlers will return as well, like last year. Mix it up a little bit with our men, youth bowlers, and female bowlers. First ball in the field gets Hawk 7. The 1, the 3, and the 7 remaining. 8 fill. Now Woods rolling. Not enough velocity though to do any damage with the 7, so it's 9. It'll be opposite a second straight spare here in the 8th. Steve strung 2 together.
One, 2, 4 with the 10 pin and the piece of wood in front of the 10.
Four-pin advantage for Hawk at the moment. Steve is going to fill his spare, and 5 or more, he takes the lead. Yes, sir. That's 6.
He regains the lead. Wow, he gains the lead. He's never had it. Came very close a few boxes, but now he's got the lead.
Up to 112 through 9. Three, 6, and 10 to the right, standing between Steve and a spare.
This will be his 5th mark if he can convert these 3 pins. Oh, just barely catches that 10 pin. Take a look. Light on that 3, takes out the 6, and finally the 10. 122 plus this ball on the spare.
That's 8 more. Gets him up to an even 130. Solid, solid first string from Steve. Can Hawk Halas catch him before the end of the first game? Hawk's at 102 with 2 to go. All of them.
Converts it, very nicely done in the 9th. Gives him 112. You see the replay. Headpin kind of does a damage on everything going through, completing that spare.
Seven. So it's Steve in the lead, but just a slight advantage by 2 pins, 130 to 128. Looks like we're going to have a competitive second game. Don't want to miss it. It's next.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. It's time for the Strike Challenge, and today we have a repeat customer, Joe Dombrowski. Joe has a T-shirt because he did it last year. How'd you do last year?
$9.
$9 and a T-shirt.
And a T-shirt.
At least you still have the T-shirt.
Yeah, I didn't spend that.
And who do you have with you?
I got Jonathan, my son.
Hi, Jonathan.
5 years old.
It's good to see
Say
you
hi
here.
to all your friends and mommy.
All right, Joe, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
See if Joe can better $9. Looking for 425. He'd get it if he throws a strike. Otherwise, $50 for the spare.
You probably could get a few bucks for that T-shirt today.
Joining us from Vermont, White River Junction. Takes out 5. He converted here, $50. See if he can match 9.
Yeah, if he doesn't match 9, I think he should take the shirt off.
Once the camera's off. Once the camera is off, Dan. Make this clear.
Oh. He's got a lot of friends here. They're not going to let him live that down.
All right. Back to our championship match. Halas down by 2 pins as he looks to dethrone Steve Vadney. His first box.
Drop of 8 for Halas, leaving the 5 and the 8 pins. Just sliding by the 5.
Cleans up for a 10. Strike for Hawk.
You can see the replay of that strike. The 9 pin was the final one to go. It was very close to being spare, a strike on spare, just sliding by that 5 in the first box. Steve Vadney is looking at the 4 pin.
And he got it. On the fill. Some major wood out front. Oh, it slides off some of it.
2 in a row.
All the way down.
This is Hawk after his strike in the second.
He's got the 3, 6, and 7, but a piece of wood behind that 3-pin. Looks like if he catches the 3, the wood would take out the 7. No. No, too high.
Ron to clean up a little lumber unless it slides off. Oh, false alarm, Ron. Nope.
Just teasing him.
The theme music is back. Ten in the frame for Hawk. Five and the 8 left.
Ronnie's going to go down and clean that wood out too.
The 2 and the 4. Now we have the 4 left. Gets that to get all 10, moves to 49.
All the way down.
There's a look when he went after the 2
Yeah,
and the
that-
4, right around it.
And then the ball almost came back and got it, but Steve Vadney now will fill the spare in the second.
Checks in with a 7.
Got that extra pin to fall, and as the 10 pin went down, leaves himself just a 2-4-7 with a piece of wood. Could be a tricky piece. It wasn't frozen against that 2 pin. So both bowlers, seems like the wood cost them spares.
All right, start it over.
We got a close match. 2 polished Candlepin bowlers.
And another challenging piece of wood out in front of the 5 and 9. Wood's not good to them today. That is a difficult shot. You might have to have that wood come off the right sidewall. Not enough to carry the 5.
Matches the 10 from Hawk Halas in the 4th. And the lead is at 7 in this game, 9 overall.
And still 1 mark separating the bowlers. Hawk Halas for his 5th and 6th frames now. He's going to shoot at the triangle. 3, 5, 6. Just sliding by that object pin, which is a 3 in this case.
Nine in the 5th, halfway through his 2nd game as Rich Halas. pin away from marking it up here in the 6th. Got it. That's a big one. Don't want to fall too far behind.
Start him over.
Three in a row open for Steve. Just an 8.
Need one to sit on.
Half Worcester left. Oh boy.
Must avoid a bad box.
You're absolutely right. Keep it at that 1 mark deficit, but disappointing 5.
So Rich Halas with a chance to do something special with his fill when we come back for the conclusion of Game 2 of the championship. We're back for what shapes up as a real good finish. Rich Halas and Steve Vadney. Steve in the lead, but Rich is about to fill his spare from the 6th and probably change that.
He looks at his bowling ball. He's looking for his name that is carved into the ball, and he uses that like a thumb grip. He puts his thumb on that. There's a little better grip on the ball. This is an important fill, folks. Just 5.
Enough to put him in the lead, though, through 16 boxes complete by 2. 7, 8, 9, 10 remaining here.
Oh, what a
so
clutch
high.
spare by Hawk Halas. Just barely touches the head pin. Something comes off the right sidewall. Wow. That was actually the 3 pin off the right sidewall over into the 7 pin. Sets himself up for a bonus money, and there's one of his daughters. He roots for his dad pretty loud. Just hear every taping. Disappointing 3.
You can see that disappointment in his reaction.
I'm sure he was thinking, if I get a decent fill, I'm pushing it over to the double-digit lead, and it'll make Steve Vadney throw another mark. Well, he's in the same situation. Now, here's it. Do we go for the head pin here and try for 8, 9, or 10, or do we go for 2 for the 7 box? Interesting to see what he chooses here. Critical point in the match as well.
I think you go for the 2, play it a little safe.
He didn't. He went for them all.
All right, Steve, waiting for you.
Risk reward.
Steve to step in opposite a spare in the 7th.
Now, he can get the lead back without the benefit of the mark, I believe.
Break it up.
The wood settles right about there. Should be give him a good chance of using the wood. The ball into the 3 and the 6, and the wood take the 7. Yes, that's exactly what happened, and then the spare in the 7th.
Rich had just a fill of 3. What will Steve do? Good fill of 9.
This is the one that will put the pressure back on Halas. Oh, boy. Both bowlers making a few mistakes down the stretch.
Lead of 9 overall for Steve. 7 in this game after taking the first game 130 to 128. So he's up 9, and Hawk's got 2 boxes to work with, and then he'll have to wait and watch.
Oh, you know he needs at least 1 mark. For Steve Vadney to get a mark, he would have to have 2. Oh boy, he couldn't have thrown any better ball than that. Leaves himself the 5, 9, and the 7 pin. Well, the wood couldn't be any better for him to give him the possibility of a spare. It's not a great piece. He's still going to have trouble with the 7 pin. But it looks like the ball is going to carry him off that into the 5 and 9. Terrific try, but no spare. He'll definitely need 1 in the 10th.
Does he have it in him? His other daughter. Naturally, he'd prefer the strike.
Oh boy, 2 balls in there, the 9th and 10th. And both bowlers were getting breaks the whole match. And those last 2, nothing to show for it. Double piece of wood, you never know. Looks like a little angle in the second piece. I'd probably go right next to the channel on the right. That's what Hawk is trying to do.
Gets 9, 110 the score in this one, the second game. Total of 238, so Steve needs a 10 to tie over the next 2, 11 to win and defend his championship. Sounds rather reasonable and something you'd expect he will do. It's 7 of the 11 he needs. Spare, and that pretty much seals it. 3 spares in this game. Hawk had a strike and 2 spares, but a couple of disappointing fills didn't help the cause. 5 and a 3. Back to back, Jack, and he'll go for his 4th mark in 5 frames, or 5+ frames, or 4+ frames, and of course we'll have a chance at bonus money, $50 if you can make it 3 for 3 to finish with. Second ball now needs to get these 2 for the $50. The victory already his. Steve Vadney, 2 weeks in a row, our champ on the Candlepin Challenge, takes this one by 29. That's deceiving, folks. It was much closer than that. Back for the wrap-up after this. Don't go away. Back for the wrap-up, Steve Vadney, champ for the second straight week.
Score was a lot closer than it really was.
And that'll do it for the Candlepin Challenge. We thank you for watching. We'll see you next week on CN8.